Hey folks, Hammeh here with a bit of interesting lore news as well as a roundup of several cool bits of Overwatch news from the past few days. Today, a nice update on who Pharah's dad isn't and the speculation that creates, more cool new Overwatch merchandise being announced, and a whole bunch of news tidbits answered by Blizzard. Covering lots of cool Overwatch news here, bit of a new video format mixing lore news, speculation and general news. Do let me know your thoughts in the comments, time codes in the description if you want to skip. Okay, let's get stuck in. Several of you may know PC Gamer, the veteran PC magazine, website and similar. At their Weekender event in London just this last weekend, there was a video shown where Overwatch developers Aaron Keller, Jeff Goodman and Michael Chu all took part in a community Q&A and answered some questions from PC Gamer readers and journalists. In the Q&A, Chu took a lore question absolutely head on, and there were also some interesting questions about Overwatch and an animated movie, as well as balanced questions and more. So here's a quick summary of it all now. First things first, the question of is Reinhardt Pharah's dad? Now, Chu said this was a popular question. Reinhardt isn't actually Pharah's dad, that's now been confirmed, and that just leaves a whole lot of other people who it could be in his conversation with Goodman. Although apparently there are some hints though. So, why was this a popular theory? Well, in-game, Pharah in many in-game voice lines shows a little bit of hero worship of Reinhardt. Although it's not necessarily father-daughter, she does geek out a lot around him and other ex-Overwatch members as well, like McCree and Torbjorn. There are also some things like the ice fishing sprays in-game that seem to have a bit of a daddy-daughter moment for some, showing Ryan and Pharah ice fishing together. Above all else, there was a neat little theory circulating that a few people pieced together around the naming of Pharah, Ana and Reinhardt's skins. If you missed this one in the past, as a very long story short, Reinhardt has skins that are metals, Ana has skins that are named after semi-precious gems, and Pharah actually has a mix of the two in her skin names. So there you go, that's the Reinhardt was Pharah's dad theory in a nutshell. Now that's been confirmed not to be true, speculation will of course return to the picture of Pharah in the Reflections holiday comic, showing her in a snowy place having dinner with an older gentleman, judging by the pepper and salt in his hair, while a hockey game plays in the background with a Canadian flag on the screen. She's most probably not in Egypt, we can say. People have wondered whether Pharah might be part Canadian or of Northwest Coast indigenous origin due to her Thunderbird skin, which is based on a supernatural creature prominent in the cultural practices and religion of some inhabitants of the area. I'll save that for a Lore of the Skins video to do it justice. It's a neat idea, but speculation at this point, of course. This guy in the comic panel could be dad, might not be either. I summarised that in my Reflections comic analysis and review vid, link below, so do check that out if you haven't already. Nice little bit of lore news there. Do let me know your thoughts about Pharah's dad in the comments and who he may or may not be. Remember, of course, the only thing we know for sure is that at SDCC 2016, it was confirmed that Pharah knows who her dad is, and it's not a mystery in the Overwatch world. It just hasn't been revealed yet by Blizzard. As for other questions, one did pop up as to whether Blizzard would consider doing another ARG, and Chu and Goodman mentioned that they learned a lot of lessons from it, as it was the first time that they'd done it before. They also learned a lot about what makes an ARG interesting and what people really enjoyed, and there was a comment that they would have maybe liked it to have gone a little quicker in pace. Jeff Goodman said that he wouldn't rule it out, it was a lot of fun overall, and Michael Chu finally finished by saying, who's to say we haven't already started the next one? Get your tinfoil hats on. Now, of course, in a post on the forums recently, Jeff Kaplan had also mentioned that the team had learned from the Sombra ARG, so this feels like a continuation of that. For me personally, the Sombra ARG leading up to her release was awesome. It did feel a little stretched out. For some, the rewards at each point, in terms of the information or what we learned, didn't feel substantial. I loved all the lore that we learned personally, but I guess the timeline could have been shortened a bit to keep it pacey, you know, so we didn't feel as though we were hanging around for too long. I'd personally love to see an ARG in future, and I hope that this doesn't put Blizzard off of trying cool stuff like this in future. Did you enjoy the Sombra ARG? Would you like to see maybe a shorter, more compact ARG in future, or clues and fun puzzles leading up to a new character announced? Then there was one on will there be an Overwatch movie? There was a lot of talk about the animated short at this point. Although the answer was that there are no immediate plans, people have been speculating off the back of Activision Blizzard's yearly earnings call and comments made by the CEO as to whether Overwatch and other properties could expand into more traditional media. Although an animated movie might be a long way off, let's not forget of course that Activision Blizzard have form in trying animated series of their properties with things such as Skylanders. So who knows? With some VAs like Charlotte Chung and Chloe Hollings both teasing that they've been doing recording recently, although we don't even know if that's for Overwatch or not, I have to stress, who knows. At the very least, I hope we can expect new animated shorts, some new voice lines and interactions of course, as well as any new heroes and things around them this year, and Hey, an animated series or anything like that would be amazing, but we'll have to see. Another interesting question that came in was whether there would be a theatre mode. Now, for those of you not familiar, this is asking about a mode much like in some of the old Call of Duty games that allows users to save gameplay, take screenshots and fast forward, slow down, pause, rewind the action, and also play back games from any perspective of the map. Keller did jump in and say that this is not planned at the moment because it would be a ton of work. It's an entire big new system, although the team does love the idea. People in the community have asked for other things more first, such as the ability, for example, to save your highlights. Blizzard are apparently also having a think about introducing replays in the game. These are both, Keller explained, really good stepping stones before a full theatre mode, and they're also technology that you'd actually need in game before trying to work on a theatre mode. Now, personally, I'd love this for video making. It would be awesome as well, of course, for esports production, and also for people wanting to learn Overwatch. In-game demos have been something Blizzard has supported in StarCraft, and match replays in Heroes of the Storm. So you can actually download and watch other players playing, makes it easier than getting them to record a VOD. It means you can use a much smaller file size file, you can watch the action from so many different angles, and it really helps you learn and experience. When I tried to learn StarCraft, I found that using people's demos was a really good way of getting into how they were making their playing decisions, because you could pause, slow down, speed up, and watch the action from so many different angles. So you could really understand what was going on, rather than just the single point of view that you tend to see from an individual player's VOD. So lots of uses for a theatre mode, but it would be a lot of work, I totally get that, and more people have asked for saving highlights, so that feels like a good building block. So cool to see that things are moving in that direction. Another question, will old brawls like Junkenstein's Revenge and Lucio Ball ever make it into custom games? Well, the team did say that the flavour of these are intrinsic to the events in which they sit, so it would be for them a little bit odd to take Junkenstein's Revenge out of Halloween. Now, there's two arguments for this, although I do get that artistic argument. Also, of course, if Blizzard want to use it again, it's a draw for people to come back to the event, and of course, from a practical perspective, not only get people engaged around a new Halloween, but also hopefully get people to spend on loot boxes. Makes perfect sense. Blizzard did say though that Capture the Flag is being pulled out of Lunar New Year and into the custom game browser. So in future, you'd see that certain events will stay within their event probably. They'll probably only be playable during that seasonal event, but certain game modes will, if they're popular, perhaps come out of their seasonal event and be available in the server browser. So we're going to get a mix. Sounds pretty cool. One quick gameplay question, there was one saying that D.Va has undergone a lot of changes. Are you happy with her? Now, Jeff Goodman jumped in on this one because obviously he works on hero design. He said that she's been pretty tricky to balance because she has kind of two roles going on. She is a tank. You expect her to soak damage and make space, but she also has the fantasy, as he put it, of her character, or the feel of her. She's a giant mech, she's got huge guns, and you feel as though you should be able to do a bit of damage, knock everyone down, and get involved in the action. She was probably a little bit recently too far on the side of being able to do more of or all of that, and it wasn't quite fair. So something had to give her balance. She previously was weak because she was too easy to kill due to her comparative size, hitboxes, armor, etc. But then when the buff came in, Blizzard realised it had gone too far. It was a bit harder to counter her. So with the loss of armor, Reaper and Roadhog and things can do a bit more against her. She is a bit squishier. She needs to be played a bit more safely rather than the go in all guns blazing tank, but they're keeping an eye on her and they will make sure that she's still balanced in future. Another quick one, can Mercy's Revive be added to the kill feed? And we heard some interesting design philosophy here from Blizzard on this. So all abilities, it seems to be walking a bit of a tightrope as to whether you're jumbling up the kill feed with too much information, or whether perhaps by leaving some out, you're leaving people in the dark about things. Mercy's Revive was one of these things that sat on the edge. Of course, we've already seen a kill feed revamp recently with a bit more information in. The team said they were actually quite happy to revisit that, so who knows, maybe you can tell if a Mercy res has gone off without listening for the characteristic res sounds in your kill feed soon. There were some other questions asked in this vid. Some of them had been answered before, some of them I think maybe you'll be familiar with, but if you want to watch the whole thing after you finished here, don't worry, we'll be done with this video very shortly. It's 15 to 20 minutes or so long, and I'll link it in the comments below. Finally, a little bit of news that dropped just before the weekend that you may have missed. Now, fans of Nendoroid statues, Figma statues, and general collectibles rejoice. There's more awesome news for you. More of these have been announced and are going to be on the way. Now, for those of you who might not be familiar with Nendoroid, I talked about the Tracer one in my last video last week. They're kind of like chibi-like figures, but you can have interchangeable accessories and poses on. Tracer was announced the other day, but at Wonderfest Japan and the New York Toy Fair, both over the last few days, we've now seen some additional figures. May and Mercy are concept art, but Good Smile Company, who make these, generally don't do concept art that they don't actually turn into figures. So it's a reasonable indicator that these are actually coming up, not just theoretical. And also, at Wonderfest Japan, someone managed to catch at the bottom of this poster that a Genji Figma statue is on the way. Now that's really, really cool. If Nendoroid are the chibi, more bobblehead type of figure, like Funkos that you're familiar with, this is great news for you more realistic collectible fans. Figma as a range is still posable, they've still got the accessories, but they're probably more realistic and true to the character, I'd say, in terms of their art style and look. As I've been talking, here are some examples of characters you may recognise. Figma are big into gaming, as well as a lot of anime characters. I've shown the gaming ones here. Now, I'm no pro Genji, but I may have to grab one of these. Credit to J-List and Aikiore on Twitter for the photos. Okay, final little bit of news, it's channel news here. We've almost hit 100,000 subs, so thank you so much for the support. I'm planning some fun things, but I want you to tell me any particular videos or things you'd like to see to celebrate 100k subs, and also put any questions you might have for me in the comments below. I think I'll do an 100k AMA. It's all amazing, I'm really excited for the future, so thank you so much. And as one final little question and thought, if you'd like to see lore videos from me on different Blizzard games or other games in general, what games would they be and why? Do let me know in the comments below. It may not be on this channel, I'm just having a think about different kinds of videos I'd like to try and do for you. Thanks for tuning into this Overwatch lore and news roundup. I hope you've discovered some new things and enjoyed bits of the wider community you might not run into on your daily YouTube or news travels. Who do you think Pharah's dad could be? Are you happy or sad with the news that it's not Reinhardt? Do let me know in the comments. If you're new to the channel, do check out all my regular Overwatch lore videos. You can click these playlists and videos here, whether you're on mobile or on a desktop or laptop, and throw a sub if you'd like to see more. Cheers for tuning in, catch you soon. I've been Hammeh, take it easy.